done chasing. Got big dreams, bigger things, impatient. Who's at the top think they need replacement? Who's at the top think I'm gonna erase them? Face it, I don't give up quick, I don't give up shit, I won't give up this. Cause I know that I want it, know that I'm on it, I'll make it, I promise.
All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Space Medics podcast. This is a podcast mostly about being a space medic in Star Citizen. But, sometimes we'll talk about all things gaming, whatever's happening in the gaming world, virtual reality, metaverse, whatever. We're all about that. So welcome to episode 2. I'm excited about this episode because we're going to be talking with the other fleet commander of Rescue Squad 1, Apollo. We'll talk to him in just a second. But yeah, just a quick background about who we are and what we do. If you haven't listened to episode 1, we are a medical organization in the Star Citizen universe. So we go all across the galaxy rescuing players. There's a whole medical gameplay loop. And so we've been just doing that for the longest time. I think right now we have over 700 rescues. But you know what? I'm going to stop talking because I need to get Apollo in here. And Apollo, I want to welcome you to the podcast, man. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Yeah, I think we just reached 700 rescues this week, actually. It's a new milestone for us. I think we're hitting like almost 100 every week or two. It's kind of crazy, huh?
Yeah, 700 rescues is crazy because I think our first 100 was obviously slow, 200 was slow, but now we're here at 700, easily going to hit 1,000 and, maybe even before the year ends. So that's incredible. So. Yeah, man. Well, so Rescue Squad 1, we have 2 commanders. One of the commanders is I, and there is another commander, my guest with me, Apollo. And we're going to talk a little bit about how we met, how we started Rescue Squad 1, how it all got started, maybe a little bit of the drama. I don't know. We'll feel that out if we want to talk about that stuff or not in the early Discord days. But before we do that, Apollo, just let us know a little bit about who you are and just generic, what games you like, where you're from, or whatever you want to give or not give is up to you.
Yeah, man. I'm originally from Canada, but I've lived in the States my whole life. I'm not going to give much more than that. But as for the games, I've been around, man. I've played a lot of different games, Arma, DayZ, Star Citizen, Space Engineers, what else? Pretty much like a lot of different games, but what I love mostly is like creating these communities and creating these servers. I've created hundreds of different servers across many different games like Arma, DayZ, 5M, SAMP, MTA. I don't know if you guys know these games. Space Engineers, lots of different games. And for me, creating this community is just a passion project, getting all these people going and doing things together and seeing people come together in our Discord just to play together and make friends. And we have this whole thing with the rescues, and our thing is, rescuing people across the verse. So it's really cool to see that we could kind of push this idea forward and bring together such a large group of people to forward our goals.
Yeah. I love that. So, and you hit something really interesting, a little side trail here about you're really into the community of gamings. I was just talking with a professor at Loyola University. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Loyola University in Chicago. And we were talking about communities in like gaming, the metaverse, and all those types of things. And I was like, man, some of the most tight-knit communities is in gaming communities, like people that play Minecraft together, Fortnite servers, Discords, all that. Really deep friends and connections and relationships, and people that have never met physically, but they're connected through like an experience or a game. And I could give a bunch of stories about that. But, when I think about Rescue Squad 1, I think I consider like, this squad as my friends and my comrades, if you will. And we do a lot of fun stuff together. And so anyway, a side trail about that, because you kind of mentioned running all those servers and the communities around it. And I think people that are outside of gaming that look into it and maybe judge it or say it's stupid are missing out on the community aspect, which I think is huge because we got a great community. And it sounds like you've been involved. And I didn't know all that community background. I knew you did servers, but you've been community building for a long time. Which one, before we get into Star Citizen, which servers have you liked the most, have the most fun in setting up?
That's interesting because, when you're running a server, it's a completely different feel than being a player, right? We've been through the drama at the beginning of our Star Citizen venture, I would say. And honestly, compared to what I've had to deal with running servers, it's not a lot. We kind of we might get into it later, but we essentially the basic summary of what we went through was a bit of a power coup. How I would describe it. And we were very relaxed about it. But I've been through a lot of those. Running servers, there's a lot of different kinds of people that come together, a lot of different personalities, and everyone thinks their ideas are going to make things better.
So that's interesting. You've already so we'll talk about our queue here in a second, or the drama, but you've already faced like server community Discord drama before in the past. And you know what? So like when people hear that and they go, wait a minute, what's up with that? Well, it's just humans. When you bring humans into a room together, there's bound to be a conflict, especially as it gets larger or bigger. And so it's this part of humanity, this type of conflict. And so, yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit, but that's interesting to me. You've already kind of already been through a drama or two over gaming communities. Yeah.
And for my favorite game to host, I did a lot with Arma 3 and a lot with MTA, which is like a multiplayer version of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Multi-Theft Auto. So those two games were really cool to host. It took a lot of development, especially Multi-Theft Auto, a lot of scripting, a lot of coding. That's what I do professionally. I'm a coder. So it took a lot of development to get those going, and they're big games, right? I mean, not as much MTA anymore, but Arma is still a huge game, and it's very competitive. You're kind of putting yourself against other servers, and you have to offer custom features. You have to have a big player base. You have to bring people into your server and make them want to stay. So it's all these things you got to think about. And with RS1, it's a bit different, right? You're not really. We're not a game server. We're a community. So it's for me, it's a little bit of a different venture. I haven't really just done a community. I've really only done like game servers and then community built off that.
Yeah. And I love that emphasis on community. That's really a key thing. Like you said, it's more than just the game. It's more than just the experience. It's the community. I find that people want to be here just because of the people. And, sometimes when we get tired of Star Citizen or we need a break from it because of bugs, we'll go over to DayZ. We can talk about that too. But I think that's interesting. All right. So so we know a little bit about Apollo, a little background about you, your gaming, you're a coder, you've done communities and servers and all that. Let's talk about Star Citizen, man, because that's, we'll talk about all things gaming in this podcast. And obviously we're going to have you as a frequent guest on the show, talk about all things, and maybe we'll even get a DayZ podcast. I think that'd be fun.
There we go.
Because I'm getting into some DayZ stuff. By the way, man, have you done 5M on Grand Theft Auto?
Yeah, man, I love 5M. I've had many servers, VRP. What's the other one? There's a couple new game modes out that I've worked with, but I actually have a whole game mode set up if we ever want to run one of those for the seasons.
Really? Yeah. I love GTA is one of my favorite games. So I would love to do that sometime. Haven't played it consistently because of the hackers and modders that come in and wreck the experience big time. I mean, this is constant. So I think I took a break for a bit, but at its core, it's one of my favorites to get in there. But yeah, side trail on gaming and other things. But yeah, Star Citizen, man. So before we get into how we met in Star Citizen, and pause real quick. Last episode, I talked about how I got into Star Citizen, that whole journey. But let's talk to Apollo and ask you, why did you download it? Some people are not into alphas, much less betas or whatever. What got you into Star Citizen? What did you like about it? And I guess, you're still playing it to this day. Why did you stick with it throughout all the bugs and problems?
When I first bought Star Citizen, I had no clue what I was getting into. I had zero clue. I just heard that the game's, an open world, persistent. You buy a ship, it's your ticket into the game. So that was years ago. I bought a ship, and I had no clue what I was about to get myself into. And I found out my computer couldn't even handle the game. And this is years ago before the game was where it is now, which is like a crazy leap in development, right? So I just stopped playing the game. I couldn't run it. I didn't even know. I kind of got in and was like running at 5-10 frames per second, which is unplayable.
Oof. Yeah. Definitely.
And I just didn't know what to do. So I just stopped. And I was like, I'm going to get a better PC. I'm going to wait. And here we are. And, and then I started playing. You know, when I met you, actually was I think it was the first day I came back. The first day I came back to Star Citizen. So it was kind of crazy coincidence.
And what about the game with that? Were you kind of amazed by the scale, the ships, the combat? What was that really intrigued you?
Everything, you know, like you get in the game, and you know you wake up in an apartment in some, you know, some on some planet, and you get in, and not only is like the detail like crazy, but you get in this, the verse around you is there's nothing you could miss. It's all detail oriented. You have to go get gear, you have to go get clothes, you know, you have to make sure you have a mask on if you're outside. You get into your ship, almost everything is interactable. Like the doors, the buttons, you know, the ship combat is insane. And there's lots of things coming in the next couple of updates, but the game itself is just kind of insane. You know,
I think when people watch the streams or whatever, like one recently was like, wait, there's no loading times, there's no loading screens. I was like, no, this is all open world. Like, even getting into the elevator is like you push a button and you wait to go to your, you know, space or ship pad, wherever it's at, the hangar.
Yeah.
And you'll spend a couple seconds in the elevator just going there, and it'll open up and you'll walk to your ship. Yeah, it's fully immersive. One of the most immersive games, you know, I've played. And yeah, I love it. So it's one of my favorites for sure. So you got into Star Citizen. You took a break because the game wasn't running well. Then there's the day you got back into it was the day we ran into each other. So let me give you my side of the story leading up to that. I'm flying to Orison, and I don't remember exactly for what. Yeah, Orison. How do we pronounce it?
I think it's Orison.
Orison. I was flying to Orison. I think I called it Horizon when I first played, but we were flying to Orison. As I was flying down, I think I was in my Constellation Taurus, which is like, for those that don't play Star Citizen, like a cargo ship. And it's part of the Constellation series. And speaking of which, you were in a Constellation Andromeda, right?
Yeah, the gunship variant. Yeah.
And I was flying to my hangar, and you were flying away from Orison. And I think I was streaming. And the best as I can remember, this is how we met, right? I was streaming, and I was like, hey, let me ping this guy just to, I don't know, do something entertaining in the stream. And so and nobody answers when you hail them. Right, you can target the ship and you can press the hail button, and that connects comms. And so I did that, and funny enough, you responded, right? And so, okay, from your side, what were you doing? You were leaving Orison. Do you even remember what you were doing there? Or?
Yeah, man, I don't remember where I was heading. I think I was just trying to get out of Atmo. I think it was the first time I was leaving the Orison atmosphere, which for anyone who doesn't know, takes forever.
It's like what's the isn't it 150,000 kilometers
like
to before you could jump? You're just
I thought I was lost. I didn't know what I was doing. At some point, before that, I turned around to try to go the other way because I thought I was doing something wrong. But yeah, man, I was just leaving my hangar, going up into Atmo, trying to find a contract, and then you hailed me, and I didn't even have my mic attached, so I had to turn on my voice activation and turn everything on, and then by the time I did, I responded, and you were still there, and that was that. And I think we just linked up, and we both rocked. I think we got into my ship, right?
Yeah, we got into your Andromeda. Yeah, I forgot what we did. We just went around and did stuff.
No, I remember. Yeah. I think we hit a clam jumper. Like we went and we did destroyed those those turret satellites.
Yeah,
that
one tends to get buggy sometimes. But I do remember jumping in your Andromeda. Got in your turret. We started rocking some missions. And then I think we connected on Discord. And I think what's interesting is because sometimes you run into people in the game, right? And maybe you'll connect on Discord and then you'll never hear from them again. So I was like, that's just the way it goes. It's all cool, But I think we played a couple more times together. We just started hanging out. And it was about the time where I started doing rescues. I got a Cutlass Red. I was doing medical rescues, so I don't remember the exact timing, but it was all kind of meshing together, like connecting with you, medical rescues were happening. I started posting stuff on TikTok, and some of those videos started getting out there. And so a lot of the like attention from those videos, I was like, man, I wonder if we should start a Discord server. Just kind of crossed my mind. I think I threw the idea your way.
Yeah, you did. I remember.
Yeah, you remember? Do you remember any of
Yeah.
the details? Because it's like vague in my
Yeah,
brain.
you said to me, I think I'm thinking about starting a rescue organization in Star Citizen, and then I was like, let's do it. And then for a day we were brainstorming names, and we came up with Rescue Squad 1. There were a couple. I don't remember the other names we had in mind, but
I think I was like, oh, I'm glad you remember the details because I forgot some of these elements. So yeah, I was like, hey, I need help doing this Discord. Do you want to do it? And I was surprised that you said yes, because I don't know. You just never, we've gotten to know each other. We're friends, and we're leading the Rescue Squad 1, but because I needed help. I don't know. I could probably figure out Discord, but with your technical background, you do all that fast setting up roles and all the back end stuff. But yeah, going back to the name, I think I was going to call it Rescue Squad. The one wasn't even in the name. I was like, dude, let's call it Rescue Squad. And you're like, oh, that's pretty good. I was like, and then you said you should be Rescue Squad 1. I was like, that kind of rings a little better than Rescue Squad. So we could have been Rescue Squad if you hadn't put the 1 in the end of it, which I think was for the better. But yeah, that's how we started the Discord up sometime in May of 2022. I have to go back and look. Was it May?
Yeah, it was. I think it was May. Yeah.
Yeah, so here at the publishing of this podcast here around December of 2022, really very young Discord and very young Star Citizen org. And so, yeah, we started the Discord. I did not have expectations, by the way, about the Discord, like how many people we're going to get, who's coming. I was like, let's just start it and see what happens. I wasn't thinking I think we have over 1,000 in our Discord now. And I'd have to see in our organization in RS1, the website, to see how many we have there. But there was no expectations. And then people started rolling in, which was crazy, right?
It was wild.
And what'd you think of that first little wave?
I was
It was
shocked.
kind of a slow trickle, but then it started picking up.
I was shocked. I did not expect us to. I mean, it's cool and I love it, but I did not expect to reach this, this growth we have, this vast amount of people we have under our wing right now. We have 1,000 members in our Discord, maybe 300 active members, 500 online members. It's kind of nuts, and I think we didn't really know how to handle it at the beginning, and that's kind of what led to all that drama. We didn't really have a system, and we got on board. Now we have a really good officer team. We have 2 amazing captains. I think we have 4 officers, and which is soon to be a couple more, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
So we're growing. We have a whole system and structure in place to make sure these kinds of things, that drama doesn't come back, and everything is taken care of if we're not there to run it.
And I think part of the problem, it was me. So a couple things happened. One, I got COVID bad, not hospital bad. I wasn't in the hospital, struggling, but I was at home bad. It was just rough. So that took me out for 6 weeks, easy, maybe even more, and so for the most part, once, that event at the end of May, not IAE, but what was that event? I forget.
I think it was Invictus or something.
Yeah, Invictus. Once Invictus was over, I got COVID real bad and I was out. So it was on you, for weeks. For weeks, people are coming in the server. DJ goes completely AFK, right? Well, not completely. I'm telling you, dude, I'm sick. I'm not. I think I was responding. I didn't completely blow you off, but I was like, dude, I'm sick, and I think I would update you, dude, I don't think I'm coming back anytime soon. But anyways, it was all on you for at least a month, if not solid more. So you're dealing with incoming traffic that. I didn't turn off the link, and people were still coming in. The org is growing. They're wanting organization and some order and structure, and it's just pretty much it fell on you pretty much to and I was hoping to be able to rely on the people we brought up. We brought up a couple people to help out, right, as officers and more, and that's where the drama was created. Instead of helping out with the structure and incoming members, the drama came out, and they just
didn't get what they wanted. So it became a whole fit for me to deal with on the side of dealing with the new org members, the events that had to happen, and it was just a mess. And yeah.
Yeah. And I really appreciate like you handling all that, because I was like out, man, and I couldn't help you. I was barely, just energy was super low. So like,
it's not your fault, man. Things happen, and you can't take any responsibility for that. So
yeah. And I think again, and not to make excuses, just to explain, like it was just growing fast. Like if it trickled in just like normal Discord numbers, we just have a handful at a time, I think that the amount that it was growing at the speed that it was growing, particularly after Invictus, was what created a lot of like just, oh man, what do we do? So like today in our Discord, it's very orderly. Like we have officers, captains, commanders, we have a promotions process. We didn't have all that, any of that at the time. No. It was just like, hey, you be in charge. All right, you be in charge. We're growing so fast. You come help us out. That kind of got a little crazy, but we got through that. And I think one of the reasons, I know one of the reasons we got through that is because you could have bailed at any point. You could have been like, forget this, man. I don't have to deal with this. I'm out. And I wonder,
really want to do that.
So yeah, you hanging in there, I think, is one of the reasons why like we're doing so well today. You're able to kind of like keep everything from falling apart.
Appreciate that.
I appreciate you doing that. But anyway, so we got through, some of that early fast growth drama, DJs out, and then I start coming back a little bit, probably June, but then I got into a move really. So I went from COVID into moving from Virginia to Texas. So that was like another big thing that you kind of carried as well, or just kind of kept us glued through that time. And so, but then I think you needed a break, which was like completely understandable. So I think you went AFK for a bit. And I was like, dude, you need to take a break because you dealt with so much. I was like 100% blessing on that one. But so I don't know, anything else you want to say about that, or we can move on if
No, I mean that sums it up, just nothing really else to add.
Yeah. So so I get sort of settled in Texas a little bit. I'm living in a hotel, kind of working out of and then we moved into our home. So we start getting these events rolling again. We start getting things happening. And there's another little surge there, another big surge, with TikTok and live streams and people joining the Discord. And I'm just going to say, we just have such an amazing crew. Like the officers, the captains, the community itself. So we have senior medics, we have medic recruits, we have this whole org structure now, and it's such a good vibe. We have issues to deal with just like anybody else, but what are when you look at the current state, we talked about the past and the challenges and overcoming those. And then now the current state of RS1, when you look at it, what do you think? What do you feel?
I'm very, very happy with the where we've ended up. We have a really active community and a lot of people passionate about making RS1 even bigger. There are, every now and then we have small things where, there's kind of these conflicts we have to deal with players doing things that are against our rules or things they probably shouldn't be doing. But overall, like it's all minuscule in comparison to where we were back in May, right? Everything right now, it's great. We have a great staff, a crew, great officer team to handle all these situations, and that we both trust. So I think right now we're very stable. I think looking forward, looking up towards 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 members, it's going to get a little hectic. So we're definitely going to need to grow our staff team. Upgrade our policies and work on our structure to support that. But right now in this moment, I think, everything's perfect.
What I love about our leaders is we're all very different and we all bring something unique to the table. I like the eclectic nature of that. So you think of like Voltron or Power Rangers or whatever, where they have those separate and then they become one and they're greater in their, as their uniqueness is brought into one. So that's kind of like how I view us, which I think is awesome. So yeah, Rescue Squad 1 is a great community, a lot of fun, we're noob friendly. So as people come in, they sense that like, it's not like hardcore, like in a hardcore org. But yeah, so I love it, and I love the direction we're going. I think we're just scratching the surface. This game has a long ways to go, and I think we're going to grow with it as we go into 318, Pyro, all the things, the game loops that are coming, dude. It's going to be so much fun getting the Kraken out. Speaking of which, all right, we talked about like command stuff, and if you, by the way, if you want to talk about any of that, let me know. But I want to kind of get into like just the nitty gritty. Like, what fleet do you have? What ships do you fly?
Oh yeah.
And currently, what ships do you have in queue that are not released yet? What are you excited about for the future? Let's talk about all that. What's your current fleet? Not necessarily list all the ships, but what are like the 2 or 3 some of your favorite ships you like to fly?
Oh yeah. So I got the Idris coming in, man. I got the Idris. I think it's the P. And that thing is a beast. I think it's like one of the biggest ships you can own right now, other than the Javelin or the Kraken. So I'm really looking forward.
Is it Idris or Idris? What's the?
That's a good question.
Idris.
It might be Idris. I call it Idris.
I don't know. I don't know, by the way. And so for those that don't play Star Citizen, tell us what the Idris is, or Idris, whatever it's called.
It's basically like a battleship, man. It's I don't know. I think it takes a good 20, 30 crew. It has a hangar bay for small fighters. It has a railgun. So it basically it could handle pretty much anything. You know, it could defend itself against fighters with its own fighters. It could take out capital ships with its railgun. It has a whole crew that you could launch operations from. It has a med bay. That is everything, right? So
sounds incredible.
And I think I got the Polaris back. I'm not quite sure if I did or not. I have the Polaris.
And what's the Polaris?
Polaris is a sub-capital corvette that's like a military patrol ship. It's actually a capital hunter. It's a torpedo ship. It has about like 80 torpedoes aboard and a small hangar bay for small support ships.
Wow, dude. Man, I can't wait. Can you imagine our first event saying Idris event is up?
Yeah.
And all loaded 2030 crew. Is that what you said, 2030?
Yeah, let me do some quick research here so I could tell you for sure. But I think that it's a pretty big cruise ship.
I think that's going to be a blast, man. Having fun with that ship. You can currently fight those in game when you go to do highest critical combat alerts. Oftentimes you'll run into an Idris, and those things are tanky. It'll take a good 5 minutes to take that ship down. Like that thing is tanky. It can pack a punch. One time I got in front of it. I was in my 600i and I accidentally flew in front of the nose where the railgun is. And man, I could just see it coming. I was like, oh man, we got to get out of here. And I just did a quick maneuver, and sure enough, that railgun shot, and that would have taken me out, I imagine. The railgun on the Idris. I didn't see my position well because I was flying like into the sun, and I didn't see that I was pointing right at the nose of the Idris. But that's going to be fun. The Polaris is going to be a blast. So are those your two biggest ships, the Idris and the Polaris?
Yeah, I actually just looked at my ship list, and I realized I forgot that I upgraded my Polaris to the Pioneer, which is
the Pioneer, man.
Yeah, so that thing is wild too. It's also one of the bigger ships. It's basically like a construction ship where you could build, you claim land on planets and you build, bases or whatever you want to build.
That's
so
awesome.
I think that's going to be, we're going to use that to build RS1's first home base. We'll have to figure out where we want to do that.
So that's what I'm excited about. Like, there's all these gameplay loops that are certainly cool, and that I'm excited about, and then I'm really excited about the Pioneer. That coming out and claiming some land. So those are your 3 biggest: the Pioneer, the Idris. What are you currently flying this is fun for you?
Dude, I love the Redeemer. I
absolutely
love the Redeemer. It's a little small gunship, It has a couple turrets, it has a bunch of missiles, everything you really need. Other than that, the Vanguard Sentinel or the Super Hornet, great fighters. They're both medium heavy fighters. Great ships.
Yeah, the Redeemer is fun. You don't want to mess with Redeemer. We have a good time with that one. As far as like ground combat, is there a particular gun that you favor? I tend to try to go for the was it the P4? If I'm saying P8, P4
I think so.
From Bearing.
Something like that.
Are you a fan of Jumptown at all? I was talking with Goliath the other day. He said, surprised me. He's like, does not like Jumptown. He did a good job leading the troops when we did our Jumptown op, but what's your feel on Jumptown?
Yeah, man, I loved it. We had a whole operation going. We had a ground fleet, a transport fleet, a ship combat fleet, and I think we held it for a very long time. We made a lot of money off it. It was good for the org. It was good teamwork. We did well. We worked well together. So it was good practice for us for future ops and stuff like that. I think that when we get on servers where there's a big population of like groups who want to take Jumptown, it's going to be more nitty gritty and it can be a little bit more stressful. I think luckily we didn't have too much. We had a couple, dogfights and a couple ships come in where we had to, get in a couple tussles with them and deal with that. But overall, I think it's a fun event for our players to interact with us and the command team in general.
All right, man. Well, Apollo, thanks for being on the podcast, man. It was just kind of good to hear the story. I bet you people listening to this would be intrigued by like how we met, how we started the org, the drama, where we're at now, kind of putting a name to the face and just hearing about the future a little bit. But any final thoughts before we go?
Yeah, and first off, thanks for having me. And as for final thoughts, our org has grown a lot, and I don't think it's going to stop growing anytime soon. With the growth, we're going to get a lot of cool new ideas, events, and I'm sure we're going to get a lot of talented officers to expand our team and help out, manage our org. So I'm looking forward to what the future has to offer for RS1. I think there's great things coming and can only get better from here on out.
I agree 100%. Well, guys, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time in the Space Medics Podcast.